Hi everyone, Mr. Peabody here. Now I've been looking at a lot of guitar tutorials on YouTube, and they sort of go over the top a bit. They need to explain things from a more simple aspect. So I'm going to attempt to do that. Now finding chords, what the shape of the chords are on the internet is very easy. You can print out sheets and sheets of different shaped chords and everything like that. There are 5 major chord shapes that you use when playing a guitar. Right? Now, when it comes to minors and diminished and majors and all that, that slightly changes, but for the most part, the shape of the chord remains the same. It's a matter of you dropping one finger or adding another finger. So it's not all that different. But there's basically 5 different shapes. I'm going to show you the 5 different shapes, and because I don't have editing and things like that on here, I'll show you the shapes, but you'll have to look them up for yourself, because I can't show you graphics. I can show you where my fingers go, but I can't show you the graphics. Anyway, sorry, I should have thought about this a bit earlier. So here you've got your basic guitar setup. Let me get into a better position. And I can't even get that on camera. Yes, I can. Okay, see the neck of my guitar, right? So from the top to the bottom, you've got 6 strings. Okay, the top string's your E string. You got E, A, D, G, B, and E. Okay, so when you tune the guitar, that's what you need to tune to. So from top to bottom, it's E, A, D, G, B, and E. Okay, so the top string, which is the low E, is exactly the same as the last string, which is another E. So they should be the same note. So if you play them together, they'll sound the same. And the other ones are different. So the first thing that you have to do is tune the guitar, because if you don't tune the guitar, anything you do on the guitar is not going to sound right. So the first thing you do is tune the guitar. So E, A, D, G, B, and E. And you can actually get that. I've actually got an application on my phone that will tune the guitar. I can tune it by ear, which I've done since I was a kid, but I do actually have an application on the phone. It's free to download, and you can tune your guitar. Anyway, the 5 major chord shapes, right? You've basically got E, A, D, G, and C shapes. Right? Once you've got those shapes, then where you play them, so you can actually bridge here. So this is your neck. This is your nut at the top here. So when you play open chords, you can play C, E, A, D, and G as an open chord. But if you put your finger across, which is what we call bar chords, then you can change that. So all of a sudden your E becomes an F, and then it can move up to a G and A, and depending on where you play it on the guitar, it's a completely different chord, but it's still the same shape, so it's still an E shape. The 2 major chord shapes that you use for bar chords are E and A, right? Rarely you'll use a C or a G shape. The D shape does come into it. It depends on what you're playing, how fast you're going to play it, and your transition time. But for the most part, bar chords, you're playing E and A shapes. So let me show you again. Right? Here's an E shape, A shape, a D shape, G shape, and a C shape. I know that's difficult to see because my fingers are in the way, but if you Google it, they'll show you where your fingers are supposed to be. But once you know those 5 different shapes of chords, and you move them up and down the frets, you can play any chord, right? And as I said, minors and majors and diminished chords, they're little tricks. So you'll take one finger off or add a finger on to do different things. But that's basically it. A guitar is a simple thing to learn, and it's all about teaching it. I'm right-handed, right? I'm right-handed, so I strum with my right hand, and all the finger work is done with my left hand. Right? Once your left hand knows what it's doing, then you can worry about strumming. Don't worry about trying to sound like the song straight away. Okay? Work on your left hand. If you're right-handed, work on your left hand so that you get the muscle memory to play the different chords, and then afterwards you worry about what your right hand's doing. So even if you're just playing basic stuff, like just strum once. You know, you don't have to do all fancy stuff straight away. All right, you don't have to sound like a professional straight away. It takes time. But once your hand knows what it's doing, you can catch up. Anyway, that's it. So it's five different shapes that you need to know of different chords. Once you know those shapes, you can learn the different variants of those shapes. For example, a D, you can actually play around a D shape. And you learn different chords, but basically 5 shapes, that's all you need. And 5 shapes you can use all the way up and down the frets, in which case you'll be able to play any chord. Okay? I probably didn't explain it all that well, but no one else has, so